Welcome! In this video we will cover versioning the program we created in the last video inside the PowerBasic Console Compiler, and also look at resource files. In our last video we created this generate data application. Now if we look at the actual executable and bring up the properties of it, we can see under the details there is no detail on the file version, the product name, the product version, the copyright, or anything at all. It can sometimes be very handy to have the version number of the executable displayed in this details page, especially when you're looking back on work you've done some time ago. So how do we actually put a version string and other details into the executable? Well, if we have a look at the program itself, this is the PowerBasic Console Compiler source code, which has not changed since our last video. What we're going to do is we're going to add another file to this to include in, which is going to have our version information into it. Now, if we go up to the toolbar and click on the Create New File, these are the options we can actually have. Now, we've already used the console program. The second one down is Include File with Version Info. If we click on that, it gives us a whole file entirely to do with versioning. Before we do anything else, we'll actually save this file with a reasonable name, and we'll do a file, save as, and we'll save it in here, and we will call it generate data version.include. Right, there we go. Now, you'll see that the hash symbol is at the beginning of most of the data lines here. This is to indicate that these are PowerBasic command words. First one, hash resource, is telling it we're creating a version info block. This next section here I will come back to. The rest of it is fairly easy to follow. What we're doing here is inserting into the resource a file version. Now it's coming in as file version 1.0.0.0, which we'll leave, and a product version of the same number. We'll leave those both as they are. The string info you can leave as it is as well. The company name. Now we can put in our company name in here, in this string. The description of the program. So we'll put in here a description of our application. It's got a place for the file version, the internal name of the program, so we call that generate data. And we'll put the file name in as well. The copyright we'll leave as is, the product name we'll put in, and in our comments we can put any comments we like. So we'll put the right, okay. Now, that's basically it. Up at the top here, I'll go back to this original block we spoke about. We've used if, else, end if commands before, but this is a particularly special one. If you precede the if command with a hash, this is a compiler directive, and this if statement is actually actioned at compile time. And what this particular command is actually doing, it's saying if this constant has been defined, then this line of code gets used. If that constant has not been defined, then this line gets used. This can be quite powerful, especially if you have debug code in your application that you want to effectively switch off en masse. You can put these conditional blocks all the way through your code and test for either the fact that that constant has or hasn't been defined at all, or check the value of the constant. Now, if we save that one since we made some changes, and what we want to do now is we want to put an include to include our new file. And what do we call our new file? We called a new file. Let's just grab the name and paste it in to save any typos. There we go. Put an include file in there. Now, if we compile that now, it compiles quite cleanly. Now, we haven't changed the functionality of the application, but if we look at the executable now and do a right click on it and look at the properties, go into details, there we have the file description as we put it in. We have the file version, the product version as we put it in, the product name, the copyright, and the original file name. All the details put in as you actually want. Very simply, very straightforwardly. Now, at the moment, we'll see that our application doesn't have an icon against it. And what we'd like to do next is use the resource facilities to add an icon. Now, if we go back to the PowerBasic program and have a look at the resource command, if we have a look at help, you'll see that you can do quite a lot inside resource files. We can add bitmaps, we can add icons, we can add a manifest, we can add specialized data into the executable, we can add strings, waves, and version info. We've already covered the version info. So what we want to do now is we want to add an icon. So basically we'll just steal that entire line and paste it straight into our include file. Now I've created an icon earlier which we can use for purposes, and all we need to do there is put in a number. The number is used internally to keep track of all resources. All we're doing here is we're creating an icon which the application can actually show with. We're not actually using the icon in an application itself, so it's purely cosmetic. However, if we save that and then recompile our program, there we go, it's recompiled. If we have a look at our application now, we will see that generate-data.exe now has an icon against it. Plus, it still has all its version information. There is much more you can actually do with resource files, but we'll cover that in a later video. Thank you for watching.